So today's video is going to be about how pre-retirees in the Rockford area can use a backdoor Roth IRA. So what is a backdoor Roth IRA? It kind of sounds like something shady that you might do in a back alley, right? I assure you this is perfectly legal. In fact, you won't find the terminology backdoor Roth IRA in any IRS publication because it's not an official product or so forth. It's really more of a strategy to get into a Roth IRA, even if you don't qualify for a Roth IRA. So I want to talk a little bit about what is a Roth IRA, what makes a Roth IRA attractive to a lot of people, what is a backdoor Roth IRA, who would benefit from one, and then are there other tax exempt assets that might work even better than perhaps a backdoor Roth IRA? So let's get into that. So first off, what is a Roth IRA anyway, for those of you who are not that familiar? So we probably are familiar with a traditional IRA or a 401k, or it's basically just a retirement arrangement with the government where you're allowed to put money away on a pre-tax basis, so before any taxes. So it's kind of like you can trim that money off the top of your income. So let's say you make, $100,000 a year, and you put $6,000 into a traditional IRA or a 401k. Well, now instead of reporting $100,000 of income, you only have to report $94,000 of income, which means you pay tax on less income, right? So that's a traditional IRA. And then it grows tax deferred. You get interest on your interest for many, many years until finally you pull it out, and then you pay tax, on the back end. So it's not really a lot of people think you get a tax break for putting into traditional retirement plans. You don't. It's really a tax deferment. You're just waiting to pay taxes until later, which, is that a good idea? Well, that's a topic for another video. So what is a Roth IRA then? Well, a Roth IRA is an IRA where you're putting money in. You don't get an upfront break. So there's no tax deduction. It's not lowering your income. You're putting that money in after you've already paid tax on it. Well, why would I do that? Well, it works a little different. You still get the tax deferral, but here's the key benefit of a Roth IRA is when you pull money out on the back end in retirement, it's completely tax-free. The money you paid in plus all of the growth. So let's say you put $6,000 in there and it grew to, $20,000 over years of growth. Well, you can pull the whole 20 out in retirement without paying any taxes at all. So that's one of the major benefits to doing a Roth IRA. It's tax-free money on the back end. So that's a short version of what is a Roth IRA. So what makes a Roth IRA attractive to many people? Well, if we think about right now, we think about government spending, right? I mean, they're spending trillions of dollars, right? With this recently, there was the COVID situation, and the government is bailing out companies and creating all these stimulus checks and so forth. Well, all that money has to come from somewhere. Where is it going to come from? A lot of people are concerned that taxes are going to be higher later on. The government's going to have to raise taxes later to pay for the spending today. So if you think taxes are going to get worse later, then a Roth IRA might be a great vehicle for you to use. Also, if you're a really good saver, if you're putting away a lot of money, chances are you're not going to be in a lower tax bracket in retirement because you're going to have a good amount of income. You're going to be able to maintain your standard of living throughout retirement, which means your tax bracket's not going to get any lower later, and it's going to stay at least the same or maybe get worse. Well, wouldn't it be nice to be able to pull money out in retirement tax-free? One last reason why it's really great to put at least some money into a tax-advantaged program like a Roth or a Roth is that it's good to be tax diversified. And I've got a whole other video on that. But tax diversification means not having all of your money in the same tax bucket. As you know, if you ever need access to lump sum cash, so let's say you get sick and you need to draw out $40,000 to pay for healthcare expenses, or your spouse ends up needing to go into a nursing facility, and that's going to cost your family $60,000, $70,000 a year. You're going to have to pull out money rapidly from your retirement accounts. If you have it all in tax deferred money, pulling that large sum of money out all at once in 1 year very likely could raise your tax status and put you into a higher tax bracket, cause your Social Security to be taxable, cause all kinds of tax issues. Where if you had a Roth IRA, you would have a place to go to pull a lump sum of money out that wouldn't wreak havoc on your tax bill that year. So hopefully those are some good reasons you're following along, and you can understand why it would be a good idea to have at least some money in a tax-free bucket. So let's see, who benefits from a backdoor Roth IRA? Well, we kind of went into that a little bit, some situations where it would benefit, but a backdoor. So who benefits from this backdoor Roth IRA? And really, what is this backdoor Roth IRA? So here's the situation. Not everybody qualifies for a Roth IRA. You might be sitting here saying, wow, Tony, that sounds like a great idea. I'm going to go out and open a Roth IRA tomorrow. Well, you might find out that you don't qualify. You might not be allowed to. Why would that happen? Well, if you're single and you make over $125,000 a year, or if you're married and you make over about $198,000 a year as a couple, the Roth IRA gets phased out. What does that mean? Well, it means the government says, hey, you make too much money to get this wonderful tax break. We're not going to let you play along and participate. And so, at those levels, they start to say, well, you could do a small one. And then if you make a little bit more than that, they just phase it out altogether. And they say, no, you can't do one at all. You don't qualify for a Roth IRA. The backdoor Roth IRA is a solution. It's a answer for anyone who really, really wants to put money into a Roth IRA, but just found out you're not allowed to put money into a Roth IRA. So what do? Well, you can open a traditional IRA and then convert that traditional IRA over to a Roth, because there's no limit on how much money you can convert to a Roth IRA. So that's why we call it a backdoor. Instead of just contributing to a Roth, you actually have a couple of steps. First, you got to open a traditional IRA, and then you've got to convert that, or kind of roll it over to a Roth IRA. Now, is there taxes? Are there going to be taxes going from the traditional to the Roth? Yes. But remember, this was supposed to be after tax money anyway. The big problem was you didn't qualify, and now we're kind of doing I call it a workaround. It's like the government says no, but if you take these two steps added, now you can do it, right? So that's what a backdoor Roth IRA. It's a great opportunity for people who thought they wouldn't qualify for a Roth and now find out that they do. Last bit, are there other tax-exempt assets that might work even better than a Roth IRA? Not going to get into detail on this video, but I have another video on my page. I'm sure if you look around there, you can find it. Or I'll put a link to it in the comments here as well. It's a strategy called a LERP plan. So you can use a LERP plan. If you don't qualify for a traditional Roth IRA and you don't want to take all these complicated government steps, there is a whole other way you can do this called a LERP plan. And again, I can't get into details on that here because I'm trying to keep this brief. The main point being how to do what is and how to do a backdoor Roth IRA. So check that out. Look for my my LERP video. Now, if you're getting anywhere near retirement, or you really are concerned about your future and you're putting money away for your future, and retirement is a goal for you, and you're not sure if you've got everything just right, on here in the comments or on this page, you should find a video that talks about the one big retirement mistake that if you can avoid, you should be able to retire happy and stress-free if you avoid this one big mistake. And I'll tell you, a lot of people, I meet with people every day, and a lot of people are making this big mistake. So if you want to try to avoid that, check out this video. It's less than 10 minutes long. It's on this page. I think you'll get a lot out of that as well. And thanks so much for watching this video, and have a great day. We'll talk to you soon.